Committee, everybody. To the Duluth Community Services regular meeting with the Board of Directors on this day, February 16, 2022. And this meeting is called to order. Roll call, Mr. Bowman.
Here.
Mrs. Carroll.
Here.
Mr. D'Alessandri.
Here.
Mrs. Rawson. Here. And Roberts here. And if you'll all join me for the pledge of allegiance. Okay, I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Moving on, agenda item number D, excuse me. Authorizing on-site and virtual board and committee meetings. And let's see, consideration of adoption of resolution number 22-02. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, Mr. Bowman?
Aye.
Mrs. Carroll?
Aye.
Mr. D'Alessandri?
Yep.
Mrs. Rawson?
Aye.
Roberts? Aye. Unanimously approved. Thank you, everyone. Okay, moving along smartly, the sheriff's report. Deputy Sam Perez.
Good evening.
Good evening.
The trends right now that happened this last month, we had people homeless once again off of California in the Temecula City area. We worked with the Temecula City PD and they were able to take care of one of the camps. But another camp that was in the south side of Rich, California, we had a fire there. The fire basically burnt 3 or 4 camps that were down there. It was in the morning, obviously. Luckily, the fire didn't spread anything through the gangrene because the rain had in the last 2 days, so that's a positive. But on that token, though, if you see the homeless out there doing camps or anything, if you notice, we go over to California on the left side, the big sign saying no trespassing, it's called a clue. So if you see anybody in that area with tents, please contact me with your department and we'll go there to take care of it. On that same note, this last period, we had a female trying to squat in a couple of our residents up here in Duluth. I contacted her. Her story seemed kind of legit in terms of it being a civil issue. That's what I took her out of that residence. Like 2 hours later, just trying to get into another residence, try to squat. So, and once again, when we see uprooted vehicles or individuals in our area trying to walk on our property, please contact the department and we can take care of it. As of yesterday, she's not been seen in the area. Last month, someone brought up Eddie Capistrano, the corner of Capistrano and West California, across from the mailboxes. I went there again 3 times last month. Never saw anybody there. I'm looking around, it's the same stuff that was there last year. I've been trying to get a hold of the property owner to see if we can help them in terms of turning that area out for them, but I have not gotten a response yet. And that's pretty much it in terms of what's going on up there on the hill. Any questions from the board? Yes, Robert.
Have you had any marijuana that you can locate there?
Right now, it's right now for that. I have had calls from Sherwood regarding what they have found on the Fort Groves, which was I took care of last year. So I tried to pull up all the irrigation lines and everything. I can't get it all. So I appreciate if you call and report stuff. On that note, next month is basically the time frame when they start prepping everything for their outdoor grows. So we'll be backing up in the air flying with our Star 9 helicopter trying to locate thing to start. But that's basically it so far.
Very good.
But
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, item D, public comments. Jessica or Jim, who's going to be the time monitor? Jessica? Okay, and anyone on Zoom? No?
No.
Okay, we do have one on-site guest here, Rick. Welcome.
Just to be kind of brief, I don't really have a lot to say because the road committee over there is kind of keeping everything to themselves. They did have a fundraiser, I guess, this last week, which I wasn't invited to, for one reason or another. Anyway, they raised some money. I don't think they raised enough to do all the gate stuff and everything. So I think their decision from the only information I got, they were going to charge of the 10 questions that I had for you guys last month. They only answered one of the questions, which was they're going to charge $50, I guess, for people using the gate to go through a month. So that's the only information I got. They haven't spoke to me at all, so they're keeping pretty secretive and why do you want?
Does that $50 relate to people who live in the San Diego County area, like yourself?
Yeah, east
So
side.
anyone would pay $50.
Right. So they can make an application to the road committee out there, and then it's $50 a month to, to go through. It's gonna cost, I figured $20,000. My guesstimate on this thing was $20,000 a year, just to keep the gate up and everything. Because it's gonna get destroyed a couple times with some of the angry people out there. But it is the $50 from people that are outside of the road committee area down there and stuff. It's the 40 something, or no, it's 51 parcels there. There's 41 people that own 51 parcels there. So I own 3 of them on the road there, so I was kind of anxious to get this thing in. But yes, it'd be like from the Duluth area, from the San Diego area, Oceanside, Fallbrook area, actually, and stuff like that.
So you'll have to pay $50 a month as well.
No, not me.
Oh, so if you're living inside, you don't pay the 50, it's only if you live outside.
Well, I still live outside the gate. The turnaround's like in front of one of my properties. So I'm not gonna pay the 50, but I pay dues to the road committee
That's right.
anyhow, to keep the road up.
Right.
And so I think what they're going to do, and see, they're not discussing it with me, even though I'm the one that initiated this thing, and everything was supposed to be done 7 months ago. We got the final permit in, I think it was June. And it was the road committee's responsibility to have the permits done by then. That's what I was told. I asked them the day afterwards, so all right, we got the permit and everything. Do we have the permission or the permits from the county to go build the gate? And they go, no. And I went, are you serious? So that's kind of what I'm dealing with there. So, but it's $50 a month. That's the only question out of 10.
As far as you know, does that apply to people outside the area as well? For instance, a commuter that would pay $50 for
Yes.
it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to have insurance, you're gonna have, be able to cover your own self or, whatever, property damage there, which is, there's been several bad wrecks out there, which you had oil truck, it's,
But if I understand, you believe that if someone from that's commuting to work, taking that as a shortcut,
Yeah.
would buy the shortcut for $50 a month.
and they'll have to apply with the road committee, and they're not communicating with me right now because they're
Right,
just
I
kind
understand.
of circle on them after they told me that they had the permits, they were going to be ready to go, and this was 7 months ago, and they didn't have them yet. And then I had to call, I asked for information and stuff like that, and then just before Christmas, I had to call the county and set up another meeting to get the information that I do have now, but they've gone silent again on me, so
All righty.
I don't know what to say.
Just as a point of interest,
Uh-huh.
if you live in that area within the gates, and you're having a party and you're inviting people in, how's that going to work?
Okay, now, I know I'm running over my time a little bit, but I'll answer your question and stuff. Is my suggestion to them were, okay, we have a winery inside. Okay, if they're having an event, say on Sunday, they need to pay, a little bit more. They'll get the codes for their members and everything to come in. The following day, those are to be shut off. Now, this is one of the things that I had all set up. I don't know how they're gonna handle it at this point. So, yes, people that are
Okay,
inside the
okay.
gated community there. And it's not a gated community, actually.
Yes.
Because that's not what we're going for. We're just trying to slow the traffic down. If you live on Sandy Creek, you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
So, and, the bridge is supposed to be done towards the end of the month here, so it'd be like Indy 500 going off again out of here, so. Anybody else, any questions? And Stephen, I'll get your email again. Here.
Thank you, Red. Thank you for the
Okay,
update.
thanks a
We
lot.
appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay, I believe that is everybody and there's some public comments. Okay, moving on, item E, information only. These items are intended for information purposes only, and they include the financial statements and statement of investment policy. Board of Directors, any comments or questions? None? Okay, moving on. Item F, consent calendar, which includes the minutes of the January 19, 2022 regular board meeting. Number 2, general fund claims for January 2022. 3, sheriff's special tax claims for January 2022. And 4, purchase orders numbers, there are none. Any questions? Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, Mr. Bowman?
Aye.
Mrs. Carroll? Aye. Mr. D'Alessandri?
Aye.
Mrs. Ralston?
Aye.
Roberts? Aye. Unanimously approved. Thank you. Okay, item G, Sandia Creek via Vaquero Reconstruction Project. Mr. Hunt?
Oh.
Aye.
Jessica's gonna bring up PowerPoint. Started. We've done a lot of work out there in the last month, wrapping things up. Go to the second slide. So since last month, they've gone out and finished with upstream and downstream riprap protection in the basin to the concrete, to the guys in there, weaknesses. This is Sandia Creek, and that gets filled up with rock. The way these bridges wash out is the downstream side and also the upstream side, it's scour that happens. The water going through the pipe at a higher rate of speed than the channel. This takes energy and heats it up, slows it down, prevents it from washing back and taking out the pipes. That's what happened in the last one. It started scouring backwards. Pretty soon all the pipes would fall into the river. Go to the next one. Here you can see it full of rocks. It's in there. The rocks are supposed to be jagged and all that kind of stuff. So it just helps basically beat up the water to help slow it down. So that's why it's on there. Okay, next one. Yeah, here's a picture of the final product out there. And they're still working, cleaning a few things up. Okay, go to the next one. So they went out and they paved both Sandy Creek and Via Vaqueros. So this is part of their paving work up there. Go to the next one. And then, now they will wash all that off, clean it up, clean the whole reach where they've had all their dirt coming and going. So it'll look really nice when they're done. You go to the next one. It's just another picture looking at the top, looking down toward the bottom, see the water, a small amount of water that's going through. Go to the next one. We put in some down drains, take the water off the roadway. The water go down, go into a little V ditch, take it all the way down to the bottom. So it wouldn't scour the slope going down. It's just it's added protection, so you don't have, our crew have to go out there every month and start moving dirt back in there and cleaning things up. Next one. And that's just another project. All right, go to the next one. And then that's via Vicaros, and it's all being paid. So they have a few things left to do. Put some fences up on the head walls, and wing walls that are out there, safety fences. There's final striping and all that. Gotta kind of combine this with age fence. We met with Jim, Steve, Ron and I, that's been the contractor. And we asked them, said, hey, we wanna finish up this street section that's not part of the FEMA project, but wasn't part of the bid. We wanted to fix up the street that leads up to where this was. When we did the last project, we didn't, slurry seal, we didn't go through these two sections in here because of the work. It would all be torn up. So on H, you have a project, it's the request for extra to do all that work. The staff and I, we've reviewed the quantities, we've reviewed the unit prices. It's all fair and reasonable, matches what's going on out there in the construction world now. And so we feel it's a fair thing. If the board would like it done, we're making a recommendation to approve it so that we can kind of finish this job and walk away and it's all done. People drive out. Now what that does, if you approve it, they'll come back, I think near the end of next week. And they will do, there's some sections out there where the asphalt is just in bad shape. They remove it, they'll repave it. Then there's a bunch of slurry seal, it's a combination of both. Then they'll final stripe it, match our standards, and we have a. So, you know, we didn't give this to them, they would be done within their time frame, like March 3rd. If we're gonna give this to them, it'll take an extra week and a half to get all that done. Because when they slurry seal, they put some in there, they can't paint the road for like 7 days so that it sticks to the asphalt, doesn't get blended into the new slurry seal, like suck it into it, and it won't look clean at all. So there's like a week there that the road will be all blocked off. Contractor will still have a few minor things to clean up with in that week, just to make sure we do all our final inspections. And then we can open up the traffic. So it'll be the second week of March, it'll be opened up, both of them. Well, Via Vaqueros is open now, it will stay open, that won't change. The Sandia Creek won't open up probably the second week of March now.
Wait a minute, wait,
Yeah.
wait. It's opening on the 28th.
Yeah.
Well, that's if we don't give them this extra work, it'll be open on the 28th.
If we do, if we approve this, it'll still be open on the 28th.
It'll all be paved and ready to open, but there won't be striping on it. So if you want to open it,
No, I think,
I did just talk to Ron. And Ron stepped in here, because he just talked and said that the paving contractor he has,
this is why,
like,
remember this, okay, young man. When we have projects like this, that contractor, it's his job to be in here, right? And I'll take that up with him tomorrow, but just remember that. That's not right. Because I talked to Marietta myself and CHB and everything, and it's all coordinated to be on Monday, the 28th, it's open and done.
and that's the way it was as of today.
So the 28th or sometime in March.
Well, and now they're telling us now, middle of March. I mean, Ron, you really want to talk to Brian?
Yeah, and I did talk to Ryan today regarding this matter, and with the extra work and the slurry to get that striping done, kind of like just what Dave was saying. It's going to take a little extra time just to get everyone out. We needed to get this approved before everything can fully be put on the books officially. Otherwise, they're going on money that's not authorized.
Yeah, pause this item and let me go take care of it.
Okay.
But they all needed to be here.
So we can just go ahead and then we'll come back to it.
All right, so we'll go ahead and pause on agenda item number 8. But why don't we go ahead and move on to the next topic, which is I, Buena Vista. Mr. Hunt?
When you're just still in the environmental review process, we haven't heard anything new for them in a couple of weeks, so taking that as a good sign.
Mhm.
And, but they work in mysterious ways, police agency, so we're kind of on a wait and see mode. They're still on schedule to meet our spring deadline, so I'm not too concerned. We believe we're gonna be here with them within the next couple of weeks. That's what we've been led to believe, so we'll find that out. Yeah, and hopefully when we hear from them, it'll be,
Mr. Chairman, was it?
here's your permit. Yeah, like
That's
last,
good. I'm sitting there
we
working.
answered
and
all your questions.
everything's-
Okay, what we're also going to pause on is item J, because Mr. Underwood is involved with that particular agenda item. So we're going to pause on J as well. And we're going to go ahead and move forward in terms of agenda item K, traffic safety. Mr. Clearing, please.
We lost Jessica.
We lost Jessica. Be pausing for Miss Jessica.
Anyway, and I'll go ahead and do the, speed limit one, too.
Yeah, I know both you and Jim are going to be involved on that topic. You want to see. Okay, here's Jessica. Yes, the traffic safety, Jessica.
Let's see if we can line up. Go ahead. So we've had our changeable message sign out on Patty Capistrano. We're doing a little drain work out there, and so we're using that for the benefit of some people that they can't go over that hole in the road. Next time we get a chance, so we'll get it down on Sandia Creek there. That's covered on Sandia Creek south of Skyrocket. Next slide. We got rid of 2 abandoned cars this last month and 1 motorhome. So we did good this week, you know. You guys had a chance to collect that stuff and you didn't take it, so fun, you're missing out, some good stuff. All right, next slide. We're currently working on 3 requests, as you know, of stop signs, the requests that you said, we're still evaluating those stop signs, so we'll be coming back to you at a future meeting with that. Second one is the one we're going to talk about tonight, which is establishing speed limits on Concho via Vaquero. Both of these streets, we collected data back in December. We get the volumes, we get the speeds, we get the 10-mile pace, we get the accident history. We look at all the unusual conditions and stuff, and then we come up with recommendations. Process is after doing all that, we put the recommendations to the engineering committee and the board after we look at the warrants. Here's what it comes out to, the short story, that Via Santa Rosa should be posted at 35. The 85th percentile is 40, but there are conditions not readily apparent. So we're taking the 5-mile-an-hour exception for that one. Sandia Creek portion to the end is also currently posted at 35, and the 85th came in at 38, so that just rounds down to 35, so that's fine. Rancho between Hardin and Sandia Creek is proposing at 35, at 38, 85th, it rounds down. And the Sandia Creek to Duluth section is 35 also. It's a 42, but again, there's conditions not readily apparent, so it can round down to 40 and then take the 5-mile-an-hour exception. And the last one is Rancho between Duluth and Tortuga. Establish that at 40 miles per hour. The 85th percentile speed is at 44. So that rounds up to 45, or we can round straight to 40, but no further exceptions can be taken. So all these then would become radar enforceable. So SAM or CHP or anyone else can go out there and tag anybody they want,
once they're posted and stuff like that, so. We have a third project that we have been talking about is that we took some more study counts of what the traffic's like out there right now, before we open San Diego Creek back up. And then we'll collect some macro data in, March or April and bring that back to you. So you can see what the effect has been and how much traffic did or didn't come back, where they're all going. And finally, we have a request in from residents who live along Buenos Campos that are requesting that we do something to keep the heavy peak hour traffic from cutting through their street once it's opened back up to San Diego Creek. The request is to basically restrict it in the eastbound direction, making a left turn to go north on Buenos Campos during the PM and the reverse direction coming back in the AM. Unfortunately, what that would do, of course, is just push everybody on the DeAnza. So I would have to look at that and see if that's acceptable or not to do that. Or keep it where maybe both streets carry a little bit of traffic, We did get some counts before the road was closed, before the washout. So we have an idea of what the traffic looked like during those hours and stuff like that. So we'll share that with you. Next slide. Also, of course, this is a viable route for those that, live in the area, to just shoot Buenos Campos is kind of a straight shot, And so our recommendation is basically to wait till the road reopens and the after counts are done and then report back to you approximately April. That's my report, and I'll answer any questions that you have for that.
I have a comment. I understand along Carancho where you're changing the speed limit from 35 to 40 or 40 to 35. And I don't really have a problem with that, but it is an issue when you're going along these roads and going all the way and suddenly the speed limit changes. It's less of an issue if you're going 35 and the speed limit changes to 40. But if you're going 40 and the speed limit changes to 35, there is a tendency for people not to pay attention to that and just to continue to go along. I understand why you're doing it. I'm not opposed to it. I see that along Sandia Creek. If you're coming from a 45 and suddenly you hit 40, only a few of us really slow down at that point. The rest seem to just continue to go on. It's just an issue. I would ask you where you're making the change from 40 to 35 that you put a sign saying that, like you did on Sandia Creek for that 40, that it's going to change. So you notify people in advance that it's going to change. I think that's a good idea. It gets them thinking about it a little bit. They may be more inclined to slow down. It's 435.
Didn't we the last time, did we have flags out or something? Flags?
The stop sign.
Okay.
Some stuff.
Okay, yeah.
But the warning, I think, is a good idea. I notice it when I'm going along there, and it reminds me that I'm going to have to slow down 40. People that are paying attention will pay attention to that a little bit more readily, as opposed to just suddenly seeing, oh, I got to go 35.
Right. Okay.
Thank you, Steve. Mr. Emmons, are we ready to go back to
No,
H?
I'm waiting for a call. Okay, so,
What, we had also set aside J on the ordinance.
okay.
Do you want to wait on that or go ahead and proceed with that?
Sure, we can go ahead with that.
All right.
Okay, just back there, I'm good here, y'all don't mind?
Basically, if you're okay with the recommendation we made, then the ordinance that was prepared
Falls right in line with that. So this would be the first reading of that ordinance.
So yes, this is item J, ordinance number 2022-01, the speed limits. And Mr. Emmons?
If it's the desire of the board to move forward, the appropriate motion would be move that ordinance number 22-1 be introduced by title only, that further reading be waived, and that ordinance number 22-01 be passed to second reading.
Is there some way to to just move to eliminate the readings entirely, or are we required?
You're required.
Okay. I'll second that.
All in favor, Mr. Bowman?
Aye.
Mrs. Carroll? Aye. Mr. D'Alessandro?
Aye.
Mrs. Ross? Aye. Roberts, aye. Unanimously approved. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to item L, road maintenance of field crew report. Mr. Emmons.
Yes, we're in a fault. There's a seat I stood for Dustin Wyatt. He's now our field maintenance supervisor. Effective a few weeks ago, I guess. As you know, we've been talking about reorganizing the field services operation here. Began actually about a year and months ago, when the field superintendent retired, and we brought in Steve as an interim, and he and I worked together to oversee the operation, try to better understand it, and then to determine how to move forward. And decided that we had recently hired Dustin. I guess he'd been here about 6 months to a year prior. But he had a very significant background in terms of his areas of expertise. He's seen a lot of different things in his career. And he's made suggestions. I guess just to go back a little bit in history, we've had field service personnel for probably 40 years, close to it. But you assume in a road maintenance district that they're like a pavement crew, actually doing pavement types of work. But that it was not the case here. It was, I call it more of a concierge service, keeping, things neat, tidy, available to the public, when rainstorms go out, get the roads open back up. But there was never any pavement or culvert repair work done during that time. It was all contracted out, private contractor. When Dustin came to us, even when Mr. Kennedy was here, he began to talk about, well, we could do this ourselves and it would be considerable savings. So finally, he said it enough times that we said, well, let's put you to work to see how you do. And so he designed a few projects, and we ran them by Mr. Hunt. And well, let's go for it. Let's see. And so we've been operating that way now for 6-8 months, and we're getting quite a few projects. The biggest project was on Sycamore Mesa. So that's really what made us look to Dustin. He also is a very hard worker, we found. And there was like a 4-month backlog when Steve came on board. And we had that knocked down, by 6-8 months, something like that, to being current on projects. And so he demonstrated that he was a good supervisor also. So anyway, we restructured the operation by having Dustin be the foreman supervisor in the field. And then we've now gone to 2 new maintenance workers. And our primary goal in hiring the 2 new people was that they would have some depth and breadth of experience, not just, tree trimming or that kind of thing. And we found 2 people, and they began within the last 2 weeks, and they're now fully on board. So I'd like to introduce over on this side, Derek Freeze. He has a very interesting background. He worked for a geotechnical lab, and they did testing, mandatory testing that the state requires for earthquake safety. So every like 5 or 10 years, like hospital buildings, for example, we talked about, he uses an example in his interview, County USC, the tech operation. I mean, I've been over there once or twice. I mean, it's huge. And they have to periodically go in and pour into the concrete, go up into the roof and take all of the materials to a lab. And then they have to make the repairs. So we were talking about some of the repairs that he's been involved in. And prior to that, he worked for a drilling company and along the same lines. And he's also, he's got some certifications. One is a certified concrete technician. Did I say that right? Yeah. And so he brings a lot to the table for us in terms of what, you know, he's had prior experience doing. And in the maintenance report, we're going to hear about a project at Capistrano. So we're throwing them right into the hole here, and hopefully we're going to get a new culvert across that road in the next week. So, but I'll let Dustin talk about that. Our second person on this side is Clinton Alley, who goes by CJ because Clinton is his dad. So we call him CJ, he'll answers Clinton. He looks when he sees anybody around looking like a dad. He's got quite an interesting background also, just in terms of what he can do. Heavy equipment operator, concrete work, asphalt work, road work, grading, construction. He can do building and framing and building demolition. He's had his own business for the last year and a half, doing just about everything, more like a handyman kind of service. He has been trained by the Iron Workers local union, did an apprenticeship for about 5 years. And before that, he had this kind of measly little job called combat engineer, United States Army, 4 years. And spent how long in Iraq?
15 months.
15 months. And bulldozer operator, heavy equipment operator, crane operator, backhoe operator, bucket loader, diesel truck, scraper, excavators, built roads, demolition, reconstruction projects, and somehow you avoided the mines out there. So here you are. And he also has welding certificates, and can also do design because he did some college and learned AutoCAD drafting. So anyway, I think we've got a well-rounded crew now. And so that concludes my report on what we've been doing in terms of reorganizing and getting some new people. And so now I'll turn it over to Dustin for the maintenance report of the month.
Good.
Yeah,
Afternoon, everybody.
Hi.
Just to go over this, for January, the month of January, we spent a good portion of the time cleaning up from the previous rains that we had. Obviously, there's quite a bit of erosion and mudslides and all sorts of different things that happen when it rains up there because everything breaks loose. So that's what we mainly spent doing is cleaning and grading. We also spent quite a bit of time with weed abatement, just basically getting all the weeds and everything that's sticking under your guys' roads off the side of the road, so it's not impeding where you guys are driving. After that, we spent probably about a week updating our yard. I really wanted to make it a point to have a clean, presentable working place that you guys will sometime soon, I believe, get a chance to see for yourselves. just to represent the district a little better and also have a cleaner environment where we store all of our equipment and all of our investments. After basically completing that, I went straight to training our new employees, both Derek and CJ. We were doing quite a lot of road safety. A lot of what we do requires us to have flagmen. So it's important to know how to do that, and that's things we've gone over quite a bit. We've also gone over our basic maintenance of replacing signs, tree trimming, all of our basic needs. And now we're kind of getting more into the more important side of things, which is like asphalt repair, culvert, et cetera. This last Friday, Rancho Water, some of you may know, had a pipe burst on Sandia Creek, just west of Prado. When that happened, unfortunately, it was on a Friday, and they requested our assistance to shut down the road. So our job was basically to turn around cars and guide people to where they needed to go, and setting up the road closure, our detour routes, et cetera. We were there probably until about 10 o'clock at night, roughly. The next day, in an abundance of caution, meeting with the foreman out there, we had decided to close it for the night. The soil conditions were too dangerous to let people drive over, unfortunately. So we waited till the following morning to pave that, and that's now been paved and is open and striped and everything. So that is complete. As of right now, we are working on what you've probably seen up on the screen right now. This is another culvert of ours. This culvert is probably 40 to 50 years old, and it did have quite a bit of rust and damage on the bottom portion of the pipe. Rancho Water had a pipe break just adjacent to our culvert, which ended up shoving quite a bit of material and also pushing up the bottom of our pipe, which then they notified us that if we would like to repair it and we'd like to fix it, that they would pave it afterwards, which is nice of them to consider. And so currently, right now, we've actually excavated the length of it, which is, it's two 36-inch pipes, which are 80 feet in length both. And we've currently excavated, graded. The picture that you're not seeing is, we have 2 pipes set already. Tomorrow we'll have all the pipes set and the majority of the backfill complete. And by Friday, it will be back open. And then Rancho Water is going to be coming out to pave it. So they're going to be having a contractor come out to pave it. This contract, or this specific project, we're doing it for just about $15,000. We had a quote or a bid from Creator Development, which was right around $28,000. So it's quite a considerable savings. Also with the assistance of Rancho Water for paving. And after this, we're going to be moving on to another smaller drainer, which is on El Prado. It's basically the inlet portion of the pipe that is eroded and causing the down drain adjacent to the road to start to collapse into it. So we're going to catch it before it gets anywhere near our road and there's any more closure or anything like that. So that concludes my report for January and current.
I would say that it was remarkable. I was down there Friday night, and I didn't see the water, but I saw the results of it, what they were doing. And I didn't believe that road would be paved by 2 o'clock on Saturday, and it was. It was really pretty remarkable. It was open, paved, and open. They did a good job paving it too. We should have more of that happen. It helps to fix our roads.
A little convenient there, right?
And that's something that I stressed to them also, is that you already have a current road closure and we can't wait. We can't be waiting on asphalt because sometimes they can take it.
Yeah, they do. I've seen that. And you're absolutely right. That was a real problem because anyone going north, really had to take a big detour, and anyone going south could safely get around it. So, and if you don't know where you're going, that could have been a real problem. even if you do know where you're going. So it was very impressive.
It was, I also saw, I happened to see it when the water was 30 foot in the air.
Ooh.
And we probably want to use a different process to do root internal. It is very impressive. Guys did a great job.
Well, again, congratulations and welcome. Very good presentation. And gentlemen, thank you very much and welcome to the crew. And CJ, we do thank you for your service. Thank you very much. Okay. Next item will be M, committee reports. The first one is engineering. So we met on February 8th, and at which time we did approve our January the 11th, 2022 meeting minutes were approved. This evening, Mr. Hunt, Lingbring, Emmons, and Wyatt presented their updates we addressed on February the 8th. Mr. Bowman, anything you'd like to add to our meeting?
No, I don't think so. I think we've covered a great deal of it just in the conversations here so far tonight. So
Very good. Moving on to the Finance Committee report.
Thank you. We met yesterday. And, we were supposed to meet with the CPA for our audit update, but unfortunately, they're not quite ready. And so that's been postponed. We'll have to do that next month. Now, we were also supposed to have that presentation tonight. So obviously, we're not going to have that presentation. The important thing here is that the reason for the delay is not that there are issues. It's probably more COVID related than anything else in terms of I think they had some people that came down with that in terms of their delay, so on and so forth. So I think that is the issue. I don't think we expect any surprises with the audit. And so I think that'll be fine. We also discussed a few other issues but one of the ones I want to talk about, maybe Teresa can help us with this, is what you see here tonight. We talked a little bit about that and how this is improving the ability to communicate with anyone, not only within the room, but people from outside. And we had a little demonstration. I don't know if you all planned the demonstration tonight, probably not. But apparently, not all that good at this, but apparently the sound focuses on the individual who's speaking anywhere in the room. And so it really is rather amazing. And it also tends to focus on the person that's speaking. So you'll see that the camera kind of moves in closer if you're talking. So it's a much better system. There is a cost to it, and we discussed that as well. I think it's in the range of about 25,000 total.
Right on the note.
Yeah, okay, so that's what it was, and so we discussed that as part of the finance committee as well. And I think this is important, and I think we were very pleased with it, pleased with the demonstration. So I don't know if there's anybody tuning in tonight, but I hope.
Did Ron leave? Ron was tuning in from the outside, so he can probably attest to the sound quality is much better and everything else. It's listening.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, the sound quality is 10 times better than it was last week. I'm getting a lot less background chatter, and I'm hearing everyone directly, and the camera even seems a lot clearer too. And it's it's even moving around very nicely to zoom in on the whole crowd whenever someone's talking. And no, I'm definitely noticing a huge difference. I noticed it even last time at the committee meeting, and it's even better from that. So it seems like they did a great job. So I'm glad to hear it.
Thank you. The other thing is that the other advantage is that we all don't have to have individual microphones.
Yes.
And a system like that would be 4 times expensive. So this is really well done. I think Jim and Teresa and whoever else was involved.
And Jesus, our IT guy.
And Jessica, all of those people really deserve to be.
Well, if I could just say one brief thing, I'm not going to go on and on, but we were able to get our IT people, Jesus, they worked with Logitech, which is a huge company. I'm sure everybody's, maybe some of you've heard of Logitech, and Zoom. So we had all three partners. They basically diagrammed this room. What are the needs? Listen to us. We had Zoom meetings. Basically, the brains of everything it's called a rally bar. That's where the sound is coming from, the camera's coming from. We have another camera over there. You'll notice that's a new one. And Jessica controls everything over here. It's called a tap. So let's say if Debbie is going to be speaking for a long time, Jessica can zoom it. She can control anything. And then we also have presets where push a button, you can have the whole room or just the board. Or we have a preset that's just the president. So we just have so much more capabilities and none of the sound problems and outside people, everybody can see what's going on. But Jesse's done a great job learning it all too, so.
Certainly significant improvement over what we've had the last.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
The other thing we discussed is the investment that our funds are gaining at a tremendous amount of interest, 0.2%. So it's hard to believe that inflation is what it is, and yet we're getting 0.2%. In any case, so that's where it is, and that's what it is. That was that's my report. Did you have anything else? Blake?
No, I found it again very interesting, and I wanted to point out that even though the audit information is not being presented, it was filed in time. So we're not penalized for that.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's see, the legislative committee report, SB,
Before we start that,
Yes.
you want to close out the Sandia Creek?
yes, H.
Maybe go back to that.
Okay, let's
Okay, Mr. Hunt, I saved your neck. This phone contains every secret phone number I can find because every once in a while.
okay.
I don't know where Mr. Close is, but he's not anywhere close. Anyhow,
Okay,
the 28th, if they can get the asphalt, but the problem is they can't get an asphalt plant. As of this moment, they do not have the asphalt in time to make the 28th.
okay,
But it would be, they're negotiating, he'll know at 8 in the morning. So hopefully I'm gonna get called at 8 a.m. saying, we got the asphalt, and they can make that deadline to get it open on the 28th. But we may have to take it day by day, depending on when they can get the asphalt. So he
Okay.
promised me that it might be a couple of days behind the 28th, and he'll keep us informed. But he wants off this job, he's got other jobs, and so he says, I want to get this done as bad as you do, so it's gonna be day by day, and it's only an asphalt issue. So, and that's, we hear about everything nowadays, so, anyway, so.
And that's sort of asphalt required for the additional work.
yes.
So will that work?
That'll work for me.
Okay, so he's saying he's gonna be done like the 28th,
It needed the powers to be.
I guess so.
Sure.
I'd just like to point out that it was supposed to be the 14th. Then I was told the 28th.
Well, the 14th, which he could meet if we don't,
We can't meet the 14th. That's
That's that's true. He didn't say the 14th, but he could be done and he could strike tomorrow and be done. And then we can open it up the next day.
But they're finished today. I mean, they're done, except.
Except for
the
site.
paving thing.
So he could be done. Yeah, it's a couple of days, but it's still within his contract is March 3rd, so he's still well within his contract. So, but like I say, we said, no, don't strike. Tell them not to, because we're gonna get this approval Wednesday night. They actually wanted to start paving today. He said, because at one time we had a guy lined up for today, and I said, I don't have the money. It's not authorized yet. You know, like, if you wanna go do it, at your risk, the board on, you know, then that's up to you. And, no, I'm not gonna go on this, I said, okay.
So now the issue is, are you, the board, willing to approve change order number one that's set forth here in the report of the disposition? And I would take a motion second. And vote.
You want your motion?
I'll make the motion, but I also have a question, which is that we're just being told what this cost is. Is this a reasonable amount? I mean, you're obviously not putting this out to bid, this additional amount.
Yeah, as I said earlier, we did do the review of all the prices and comparing what prices are coming in right now. Pricing and contractors is doing this, you know, right now. And one of the big troubles is asphalt, which is what this is, slurry. And we just got a couple of bids in LA and a few other of our cities that we're in, 'cause we're in a lot of cities. And yeah, it's right in there. So he's not out of place with his request. If he was, we'd just say, I'd recommend not doing it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I made the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, Mr. Bowman?
Aye.
Mrs. Carroll? Aye. Mr. D'Alessandro?
Aye.
Mrs. Rossi?
Aye.
Roberts, aye. Unanimously approved. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Jim, and your wonderful phone.
That could be scary on the phone. I would be.
It's all in the voice, right?
Gotta move it back.
Okay, very good.
For 3 years now. And where we are is that, you know, we went through the legislature, the satisfactory county, and we had to get the folks at the county to agree to work with us. We went through the LAFCO process, the Local Agency Formation Commission. Got them on a 7-0 vote to recommend to the county board of supervisors that they take an action to get us the gas tax fund. And it just so happened that the day before that meeting, our president at the time, Marianne Myers, and the other member of the legislative committee was Robert D'Alessandro, met with the supervisor and advised him that this was coming up at the LAFCO meeting, which he is one of the 7 members. And the meeting started by him saying, it's going to be a short meeting because I've read all the materials for the LAFCO meeting tomorrow, and I support you. I'm in favor of this. And then we thought, no, we'll see what happens tomorrow. And sure enough, when this item came up on their agenda, he grabbed the ball as a board member and said, here's what it is. And he was very fluent in gas tax ease. He walked right through in simple language to the other board members and said, so therefore I make a motion that we do this. And that is the recommendation of the state committee, which is the local agency committee, to recommend to the county board of supervisors that you do this. So we then contacted the supervisor and said, okay, now, how do we get this to the county board in a manner that it doesn't just get put into the inbox and maybe 3 years from now somebody looks at it, you know? And so he said that he would carry it, but that he wanted us to do the work. In fact, this came up in conversation with Mr. Delisandri at the prior meeting. So that being said, you're going to support us, what do we do? And he said, well, you guys have that fancy law firm, BB&K, and it takes a long time to get anything out of the county council. So if we use your lawyer, the fancy law firm, and have them basically give a legal opinion that this is legal, that's one big hurdle. And county council may comment on that, but county council doesn't have to do all the research and do all of that. That'll save a long time right there. So Ward found an attorney in the firm, actually from Orange County, Ryan Barron, who used to work as county council or a county council in Orange County. And for 18 years, he just exclusively worked for transportation department. So he understands all this, not in Riverside County, but in Orange County. But he agreed, and last night, I got you the final legal opinion. And it's a lot of legalese, we know that. But I think that's gonna please Mr. Jeffries very much. Because all the research is there. He's citing attorney general opinions and case law. And it basically says that you, the county of Riverside, do have the authority to do what Duluth asked. And so we got that finished, and it looks okay to me. It's 4 pages of a lot of legal stuff, but I think it'll make a lot of sense to county council in Riverside. So the next thing he asked is I need an official request by your board to, ask the board of supervisors for this, and that's, so we have resolution 2203, which there's an amendment, which we forgot to put in this morning. But what this does is basically in a whole bunch of whereas clauses tries to summarize what we know, what the situation is, and then the final, be it resolved by you, the board of directors, that you request the board of supervisors to take the appropriate actions to place the public roadways that we maintain within quote unquote county maintained road system. And I'm telling you that because you're going to hear that. That's the issue. We believe that when we were created, it was a pass off of roads that would have gone to the county for maintenance, but they saw a way to save money and create a district. Okay. And so our position, our legal position is in 1979, when they did that, and they've never done it since. But at the time, we believe they were thinking that this could be their way out after Prop 13 of making district, and then you make a new community, it goes into a district. Actually, I believe, having lived through that in government and the financing, what the CSDs were not the preferred method after us. The preferred method was the gated community. And And that's how counties got out of, sure, we'll let you build 1,000 homes. If you put those streets behind the gate and you have the HOA pay for it. So they didn't need CSD. So we're like this orphan child, okay? And that's gonna be important because we're a one-time deal. And I've written it into the letter that it's only us, guys. It's not, there's gonna be everybody coming down to the Board of Supervisors after you help to lose. And, you know, say, we give us money too. It's a one-time thing. And so, you're asking that they make that declaration, that they add our miles of road to the county miles of road, turn that into the state on May 1st every year. And the next 12 months, the state of California pays the gas tax based on the county's roads plus 86 more. And that's about $1 million more. And then we're asking them to approve a cooperative agreement, a contract, basically. They will pass through that money to us, you know, every month when the check comes from the state. And we'll maintain the roads. And as I was mentioning to the committee yesterday, I believe, I have probably, I didn't know we'd be this far down the road, but it's about half and half. Half of the money is for day-to-day maintenance. These guys, contracts, fixed roads, roadway rehab, stuff we've been doing. The other half is what you've seen on freeways all over Southern California, funded by SB1. That's the other half of this. And that's a political thing, okay? Because the voters approved SB1 and because it was referendum. And so that SB1 law that got referended, the voters passed about 4 years ago. And so every time they use SB1 money, it's this money we're talking about, okay? And so I don't know if it's the law or not, but those SB1 signs are all up and down the state. So for example, if we like, let's just say Sandia Creek, since we've been talking about it, we one summer repaved the whole thing from beginning to end. On either end, we would say financed by SB1, the lose CSD or whatever. That's what you're seeing. That's what we're talking about here. And finally, that we need this done quick because they have to submit their miles of road to the state by May 1st. And they can't submit it again until the next May 1st. So that's another $1 million that didn't happen. Do I think this is gonna get through by May 1st? If I were in Vegas and betting yes or no? And I'm probably voting betting no. I just know how counties work. But they know, and in the 3-4 conversations I've had with the supervisors, chief of staff, we talked about it. He knows. We gotta get it done. So I don't know. We'll see. But, so tonight you're being asked to consider Resolution 2203, which makes the formal request to the county supervisors. We need to amend in the resolved portion, the second paragraph, that page, second page, where it says approve a cooperative agreement for the county to obtain additional highway users funds for district roads and pass through such funds derived, and this is the new word, derived from the increased miles of road. Just so that they don't think we're trying to cut into their money. Okay, just to clarify. So that would be the amended motion 2203. And that will be on top of a letter signed by the president, which is the same letter as we use for LAFCO, except the first paragraph is modified to, it's all the same language. And then the legal opinion by BB&K, followed by a cooperative agreement with the county, followed followed by a sample Board of Supervisors resolution. So in theory, BB&K wrote that resolution for the Board of Supervisors, and they could actually use that. They won't, but they could. So those are the items that will go in the package accompanying your resolution 2203 as amended. So that concludes my.
And the motion tonight would include all of those documents within a single action.
Or does the motion just approve the resolution that then the rest of that is just put it back?
Yes.
Well, yeah, you're really voting on resolution 2203, and we've attached all these items to that resolution as a package.
You're not actually, sorry for interrupting, but you're not actually approving the agreement tonight, like yourself.
Right.
I'm expecting that will come back with some edits and changes, and we'll have to approve it at a later meeting. The district to go ahead and approve the agreement and sign it. We're asking the county in this resolution if they will approve it.
And anticipating in the future, what we really need them to do is that resolution that it's the same as yours, very similar, except it's the exact detail in the results. It accepts these roads and it's set forth in Exhibit A, all the names of the roads, into the county maintaining system and directs finance department, whoever it is, to add these 86 miles of road to their report this due May 1. All we need them to do is that. We can argue about the cooperative agreement, for months, whatever, but we've got to get that money starting to flow. So that's what we need next week, need to start pushing. Is board just approve, put our roads in your system, approve the resolution that our attorneys gave them. And then we'll haggle about the money later. And I think they'll buy into that. Because it's kind of a step sort of thing. It's not too scary for them, But that's going to be the next step. And we need to just push to get that done before May 1.
So the motion is resolution 03 be approved by the board. So
With your amended language.
With the
And as amended,
As
Yes.
because of the nature of this phrase.
And I'll second.
So the phrased motion, just for the motion would be, I move that resolution 2203 be introduced, or no, be approved by title only, as amended. The further reading be waived, and the resolution 2303 be approved. Correct.
Correct.
So
That's what he said.
By title only. in the reading. Yeah.
it's a hillbilly accent.
Okay, and Robert, you second?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor, Mr. Bowman,
Aye.
Mrs. Carroll,
Aye.
Alexander.
Aye.
Mrs. Ross.
Aye.
Roberts, aye, unanimously approved, thank you. All right, moving on. General manager's report, FT, Mr. Ammons.
The only addition ties back to the opening Sandia Creek is that we have a meeting with the CHP. They really haven't been doing much work for us in a couple of years, and their staffing issues and things like that. I was really concerned, but it was a very successful meeting. They're willing to help us, and they're actually they've already put word out to their crews that they need overtime starting on the 28th. They work for us overtime. So anyway, they will be ready and able to help us, retrain our motorists, speed limit, stop signs, that kind of thing, when we reopen Sandia Creek. So and then, Sam has been working on this with us also. And he's going to be helping out in that regard, maybe get some other help from his agency too. So we're kind of thinking about the first month or two, the people driving up and down there will see a lot of black and white, hopefully not too many flashing lights, but depends on their behavior. So anyway, that looks to me to, if there was a concern, which there was, I wasn't sure I could get, the units out there. They're fully on board, so it's really.
Very good. E, legal counsel matters, Mr. Sims.
Ready?
Yeah.
I've got some late breaking news. And to give some background, about over a year ago, legislature passed a new bill relating to refuse collection, SB 1383. Required all the jurisdictions except for certain exceptions to, in the effort to reduce greenhouse gases, they are requiring different things like food recovery systems from restaurants and a different type of organic waste recycling, which is going to add some trucks on the road to recycle the waste differently than what we're doing now. I had a specialist, attorney specialist in our Sacramento office, look at it and said, Duluth qualifies for an exception to the rule. And we checked with the Cal Recycle Department and they agreed with us that Duluth did fall within the exceptions. And throughout we checked many times throughout 2021. We were safely, felt comfortable that they were agreeing with us. And then come January, they sent us a letter saying all of a sudden that Duluth no longer qualifies for this exception. And we wrote a long letter to them making our arguments why we did fall within the regulatory exceptions. And just yesterday, they responded finally and said, no, we don't agree with you. You will have to comply with this 1383. So we're still, this is all brand new.
Yeah, we don't know really
We don't know exactly how to move forward.
facts are.
But
We've been kind of told it'd be like green can, and you have to run another truck. But, but we don't know. So, Ward and I are gonna have to tomorrow get hopping on this. And I don't think it's lost yet, but we were hoping, as they said last March, last February, about a year ago, that we're exempt. It was in writing. But then somebody higher said no exemptions. And these folks, they get really, these special interest kind of laws. They can't see the forest from the trees sometimes, and so we don't know where to go with this or where we're going with this. I didn't expect that.
Well, one of the options is not giving up on the idea that we are exempt. There's a March 1st deadline coming up for districts and cities and counties to indicate that they're going to comply by, and one of the ways you do that is to adopt a resolution saying that you will comply with the new requirements. And so one of the strategies I've been discussing with Jim, and I'm just bringing it up tonight because it's as a kind of a heads up warning, we may want to call for a special board meeting next week sometime to adopt, just for the sole purpose of adopting this resolution, so we can make the March 1st deadline. We haven't decided yet to do that, but that's one possibility. So I wanted to keep that. But we're considering all options.
And we don't even know what those are.
We don't even know what they are.
Anyway, this is out there.
Yeah. Joanna is working on it. You remember Joanna Jan.
Are there other farming communities throughout California that are going through the same thing, or is it
There,
just?
there should be, because we're one of the few in Southern California, we go up north and that's why we thought, I wasn't that, surprised about the exemption because, you know, in Sacramento, the legislature, they're always having to deal with, you know, the two states that we have, the urban and the rural, to keep the folks up north happy. So I just assumed this was another kind of thing where we're gonna be treated like, you know, up in Northern California. And then last month, when it came up, well, they're saying that there's this population issue. And I don't know if I wanna get into it, because it just makes my blood boil. But they're using census tracts,
Okay, enough said.
and we're being a charge for people in the Old Town part of
Yeah.
Temecula that we don't even pick up their trash.
No.
And so that's why I thought last month, this is a no-brainer. I mean, how can they charge you for people that aren't even in your territory? And so Joanna wrote them this letter, and then it just, well, sorry, it's just the way the rules are. We use census tracts, you use your own boundaries, and that's the way it goes. Now, I don't know that kind of ruling that they have made is really gonna work. I mean, just because some, you know, person in the bureaucracy decides that, it kind of flies in the face of the way everything works in the whole system, the states, the counties, the cities, the districts, blah, blah, blah. Well, why have a boundary then? If somebody's just gonna say, oh, well, we'll take a couple 150 people over there and throw them into you, and now you qualify and your people have to be taxed. Which is essentially what it is, you know, it's money, you know, you're gonna have to pay one way or another. And I'm just not sure you can tax people, charge people, whatever. Because I'm thinking there's a lot of other tenants in, you know, the government or in the law that you can't just do that, you know. It's like, well, we use census tract, you know. It doesn't make common sense. So, but we need some time to understand what is going on here.
Especially for farmers in our area, most of us sell compost, if you will. We don't put our green waste out, we recycle
Yeah,
in the ground. So it just would be a complete waste.
They would love the people who are, you know, running this and Dr. Flockers and everything. They would love to lose. It's exactly the ultimate, you know, what they're trying to preserve. If they come along and do something like this, it doesn't make sense. So hopefully in the next week or two,
Next 10 days.
come up with something. Magic.
It's just, the letter just arrived yesterday, so.
So what happens if we don't make a motion or agree to comply? We just don't.
Well, they have the power to fine the district on, you know, a daily basis.
But as I said to Ward, we received not one nickel from the state of California, so what would they, I don't know, what would they do about it? You know?
How do you look in cuffs?
What's that?
How do you look in cuffs?
Yeah. Sam, how would I look?
Probably only the president.
Wait a minute, you're the money man.
By agreeing to comply, that doesn't mean we have to start it right away. We could just agree, is it agreeing to comply just to keep a fine away, basically?
Yes.
And then giving us time to plot strategy,
We,
basically?
we'll have to look at that closer.
Okay.
Right.
We might have to take steps to get closer to complying after that even, but I don't think we need to give up the idea of continuing to try to fight it in other venues. Maybe do a vacation.
So you guys will advise us in about 10 days and we need to have a meeting and come back. Okay.
And if we don't, for some reason, deal with this before March first, then we're gonna have to deal with it at the next meeting.
Definitely.
We gotta, this is gonna be our new gas tax, I guess. So, too early to tell.
But I want to give it a
Very good.
Oh.
That's it. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. This meeting is adjourned.
You guys